Hi everyone! So today I'm going to talk to you about my everyday makeup routine, and I've already talked to you in one of my previous videos about all the products I use and step by step, but today I'm actually going to show you how I apply the makeup from start to finish. So right now I'm not wearing any makeup and I've got just a little bit of moisturizer on my skin. That's it. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the Total Eye Care Dermalogica SPF 15, and I'm just going to apply that underneath my eye just so that my concealer blends in with the skin a little bit better. I'm not going to apply it above my eyelid because that's not very good for the eye if it seeps through. So just underneath the eye, just to give it that really smooth texture when you blend in the concealer. Has a little bit of a tint, actually. It's not completely tinted. You can actually get a moisturizer by Dermalogica that's tinted. This is not that, but it still gives you that little bit of a lift, a little bit of a fresh look, which I like. I also don't like to apply moisturizer on the top of my eyelids because then when you put on the eyeshadow, it can crease, and that doesn't look too good. The next thing I do is I actually put this stuff a little bit on my hand, like this, and I actually blend my concealer with this Total Eye Care just to make it even smoother. And I can adjust how thick I want the concealer to be depending on how much I mix it in with the moisturizer. So this is the Bare Minerals concealer. And it has SPF in it, SPF 20. It's light number 2. And that's just about right for my skin when I don't have a tan at all right now. So I'm just going to blend that underneath my eye. I'm going to start towards the inner eyelid, just the inner corners, and I'm going to blend it out. And lately I've been having a little bit more under eye shadow, so right now I'm only using concealer, but I'm thinking I might need to even step it up to start using a corrector before I apply my concealer, because yeah, I don't know why. I'm sleeping enough, but I'm still looking pretty tired in the morning, so I have to figure that one out. So I just try to get it as smooth as possible. So as I mentioned in my previous video, I'm not a huge fan of applying too much foundation, to cover up, to change my complexion. I just like to smoothen out my skin and just to make it look a little bit more even and just a little bit more youthful. So I do that. And now I've been told that you actually are supposed to use, the shade that you put underneath your eye is not supposed to be the exact same shade that you put on your other blemishes. However, I think for me right now it works because I don't have a tan right now, and covering the rest of my blemishes, that's with the same color is fine with me. It works fine for me. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just going around the nose and applying in the same way with maybe a little bit less of the eye care. Just blending that out a little bit more. Okay. Just going over any blemishes that stand out to me at the moment. And a little bit under the chin. Okay, so now it looks pretty smooth, and now I'm going to start by setting the concealer under my eyes with the powder. And I'm going to use, I have two powders. One is the Bare Minerals Original, and that's the Fairly Light number 10. Again, it has some SPF in it. And I'm actually not going to use this one under the eyes. I'm going to use a slightly lighter one from my eyeshadow palette, but it kind of works the same for me. It works really well as setting powder as well. So I'm going to use my powder brush, this Bobbi Brown powder brush. Almost my entire brush set I use from Bobbi Brown. I really like them. So I'm just going to dab a little bit and just set it underneath my eyes. And then I'm going to start using the foundation powder. And this is the mineral powder. And like I said before, I like to tip a little bit out so that I'm not re-dipping and spreading any kind of bacteria, because my skin is a little bit prone to acne. So I'm just going to dip it and then just start applying it all over my face. And the purpose of this is really just to smoothen out the skin, to make it look even. I really like the feel of the mineral powder because it doesn't feel heavy or cakey. I don't like feeling as if, you know, I have this rich layer of something covering my face. So that's pretty much smooth now. And next what I'm going to do is start applying my eyeshadow. Some people like to start with blush, but I prefer to start with eyeshadow. So I'm going to use my thickest eyeshadow brush. It's called an Eye Shader, again by Bobbi Brown. And I'm going to use this color in the middle here, which is Shell number 17. Again, this is a whole Bobbi Brown set that I'm using. It has 3 shades. One is the lightest shade, which I like to use just underneath my brows to highlight them a little bit more. And then it's the shade, this nude shade that I'm using all over my eye. And then the third one is the one that I use to highlight it a little bit. And this is just to get that really natural look, this everyday look that I use. So I'm applying it just all over my eye. And it's probably not going to look that different to what it looks already, but it's smoothing it out even more. So the little eye vessels, blood vessels that you see are going to be gone when I do this. So there we go. Next thing I'm going to do is just take this little eyeshadow brush, again by Bobbi Brown, and use the lightest color here, which is the Navajo 53, and I'm just going to highlight underneath the brow. It just gives it that extra pop, makes it look really neat. Okay, and then I'm going to start shading in with this third color. This is one of my favorites. It's Shimmer Wash Eyeshadow. Sometimes I like to start with this Boom Boom Brow Bet, the one that I got in New York. If you guys have seen my previous, one of my first videos on what kinds of makeup I use. This one I'm actually going to use just to shade a little bit first because it doesn't have the shimmer, just to set the tone. And I'm just going to shade that in these areas, not all over the lid, just where the crease is, and then a little bit more towards the outside. Trying to get it even. And in terms of long-lasting brushes, I definitely recommend Bobbi Brown Set because they have lasted a very, very long time, many years for me. And as long as you wash them regularly, I try to wash at least once a week, then it should be no problem. You can keep them for a long time. So I start just highlighting a little bit like that with this eyeshadow, and then I might move on to the shimmer. Do the same thing, but just a little bit more in the crease. This one's a little bit darker. I'm going to use my blending brush after this. And then I'm going to use my blending brush. Just blend it out. So that is pretty much the eyeshadow. I might add a little bit of lighter shade again, just to blend it in on the top here. Okay. Next I'm going to do the eyebrows before I come back to the eyeliner. And the way that I start is first I use this Bobbi Brown brow brush, and I just brush up, make sure that all the hairs are brushed up and going in the right direction. And then I use this eyeliner brush. I sometimes have another brush specifically for eyebrows, and the ones that I like, I just cannot find it right now, is the kind that's a little bit angled, because it just makes it really easy to draw that line. So again, I'm going to use my Boom Boom Brow Bet brow shadow, and I'm just going to dab a little bit, and I'm going to start on the bottom and just draw a line across like that. So again, it's really important, I think, to choose a color that is the same color as your brow or your hair. I mean, obviously this isn't blonde, but you know, it's kind of the same color as my roots. So this is the same color as my brow. You don't want to go darker because then it's just going to stand out too much unless you're actually going for that specific look. And you're just going to line it all the way where your brows go, just to fill in that extra gap, the extra gaps, and it just gives it that really clean look. It can actually make you look very fresh. sometimes it's really tempting, I think, to over tweeze or even over trim your brows, but if you do that, a lot of times you can get a lot of gaps between the hairs, and that doesn't look very good. So I'm just lining it and then filling in. And then the next thing I do with the brows is that I just use this, it's kind of like a clear mascara, again from Boom Boom Brow. It's called Brassiere, and it just helps you keep the eyebrows in place. So if you're like me and my eyebrows have a tendency to grow downward, especially halfway through here, if you use this clear mascara brow brush, it can just help you hold up the hairs throughout the day, so you don't have to worry about constantly pushing them up, which I think is really handy. So I just apply that, make sure it's all even. And then, before I go to the eyeliner, because I like to do that last, it's just a personal preference, I start to apply some blush and a little bit of bronzer, just to give your face kind of that, not a tan, but just a little bit of color. So I'm going to use my Bobbi Brown blush brush and this NARS Laguna bronzer. Just going to take a little bit and just sweep it across. And with blush, really, you can apply it, not with blush, with bronzer, really, you can apply it anywhere where the sun would naturally hit you. So you can add a little bit of color on your forehead, your nose, you know, your neck. It's fine. But I try not to do too much because I don't want to look, I don't really want that fake tanned look. Then I'm going to do, add a little bit of blush, and this is a Bobbi Brown again. It's Coral number 3 Shimmer Blush. And I really, really like blush because I think it just gives you that extra youthfulness and it makes you look really fresh, I think. So just start at the apple of the cheek and then brush up. And same as the other side. And then I brush it down. Okay. Then I'm going to apply finally my eyeliner and then my mascara. So for the natural look, I usually go for a very, I don't go for black usually, I just go for usually this MAC Espresso eyeshadow. I use eyeshadow as eyeliner quite often. So again, I'm going to use my eyeliner brush, the Bobbi Brown one. And I like this because of the way the bristles are stacked, and it's just, I don't know, it just makes applying the line very, very easy. It's not the best if you want to make a really fine cat eye, I'd say, but it's really good if you're just applying powder and you're going for that natural look. So I'm starting on the outside. And I'm bringing it in towards the middle. And I'm trying to make sure that the outside is thicker than the inside. And I want to line the whole eye. kind of have to play with it because it's powder, so sometimes it doesn't sit straight away. I just like to add it bit by bit. And then the other side. I tend not to line the bottom of my eye if it's an everyday eye makeup routine. I'm just bringing it into the center of my eye, the corner, inner corners. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to do is put on my mascara. So I've actually moved on now to only using this Dior Blackout. I just like the way the black contrasts with my eye, and it really makes it pop. It just makes me look, just gives it that extra bounce. This mascara is quite thick, so sometimes I need to run through it with the lash separator afterwards. But right now it seems to be just fine. Again, I'm just trying to get as natural of a look as possible, so I'm not trying to change the way that I look necessarily, just trying to, I guess, make my natural look a little bit better. Trying to get both sides to look even. And you can also add them on the bottom, but I prefer not to for day makeup. So last but not least, I'm going to apply my lip gloss, and I just go for a really neutral color, and it's the Christian Dior Lip Polish Smoothing Lacquer. It's number 2. I just apply that all over the lips. I love this lip gloss because when you slide it over your lips, this part actually moves, and it just makes it really easy to apply. It's fun too. So as you can see, that is my everyday makeup routine, and it's really natural looking, it's understated, it's not in your face, and it just looks like, you know, this is what I normally look like, just a little bit more, I guess, accented, maybe. Yeah, so that's it, you guys, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon.